this is Tiger. Welcome to my stream tonight. You can see what you were not able to see for quite some time. The disclaimer: railways are dangerous. Please leave the real world, real life railways to the professionals. We are just talking about playing computer games. And why can you see it? Because I'm playing on my Steam installation of Train Sim World 5 so that we can actually access the Expert 101 gameplay pack for the Schnellfahrstrecke Kassel-Würzburg. AJ, good evening to you. Acura94 Moin, he says good evening to you. Nice to see you both on the chat. Yeah, for the first time that I'm actually streaming Train Sim World 5 on my Steam installation. I don't have that many DLCs here. Spectre, nice to see you. Hey Tiger, he says. And well, let's accept the disclaimer and go into the game. You can see that I'm playing on a default account and everything is not so great. AJ, you subscribed for 2 years, 24 months. Hype, she says. Yeah, that is really amazing. 24 months. It's rough. Oh, he there. Nice to see you. In case anyone does not know him, he's the one who wrote the manual to the Bauer 101 DLC, the original. I don't know if there's a manual for the gameplay pack because I'm still miffed that it is not released on the Epic Game Store, so I did not dig deeper there. Belladus, good evening. Glad to be at the stream again. Yeah, glad to have you on the stream again, even if we're not doing Dutch content tonight. So great. I remember you giving us a lot of great tips when we were talking about the Dutch signaling the other day. Well, the other week, the other month is a bit. It is already so long ago that we talked about this. Well, anyway, what I wanted to do, it's rough. Says not for the gameplay pack specifically, but recently I've submitted an update for German translation. It will depend on Lucas' time to do it. But rest assured, the 101 expert manual will be updated. Yeah, I read that there will be a 2.0 version. Well, we can talk about this when we meet next week in Chatham. I am looking forward to this. Starting Wednesday for sure, he says. Yeah. Well, what I wanted to do today is to play one of those scenarios. A scenario where the written order forms got introduced. And for that, I turn on my DLC marker and all the stuff. DLC. It will be Schnellfahrstrecke Kassel-Würzburg, obviously. Schnellfahrstrecke, oops, the game should be visible. I turn on the disclaimer because I got the gameplay pack key for Steam free from the TG. The Schnellfahrstrecke Würzburg I actually bought myself on my own, and this is the scenario that we are going to play. At least parts of it. I might actually skip that part where you drive this locomotive to the part of the track where you then are supposed to couple. So, interference I played this afternoon. It's another scenario with the LZB Übertragungsausfall. It actually sent my PC into a freeze, so I wasn't sure if I actually got my medal, but I got it. When I tried the rescue for the first time, I was not able to finish it because it did not give me any object point anymore. Somehow I killed the script with whatever I did. But before I talk too much, let's just jump in. It's one of the scenarios where you are supposed to start your 101 from, yeah, only 3 scenarios because I think I'm missing the other DLCs, the root DLCs for it. It is on Salzburg-Rosenheim, right? The normal scenarios. And I don't have this DLC on my Steam installation. I have everything on my Epic Game Store installation. But I won't start again about how miffed disappointed and angry I was when I heard that the gameplay pack
Today,
is not
you have
on
got a special
Epic
task.
Game Store.
Between Kirchheim and Mülheim, Intercity 1174 stranded en route, which you have been tasked with towing away. Prepare the rescue loco and drive to Kirchheim as LZ 99983. You will
Remember
receive
that,
further details later.
999083.
And an important note, even though going 200 km per hour as a light loco is enticing, this is not permitted by regulations. Due to insufficient brake power, the LZB must not be enabled if a consist coaches contain less than 4 active air brakes. Your max speed is limited to 140
Alright.
km per hour.
Remember that for
the
later
same
when
reason.
you're punching the train data. So this is our loco. And we are supposed to kick in the battery. One thing Ralph is asking about, when do you arrive in Chatham? Because I'll be at the Travel Lodge on the 13th. I will arrive sometime on the afternoon of the 13th, so Wednesday. And then I have to find my hotel and my way around. And if I make it to the Travel Lodge, I will definitely be there. At the bar, probably. So, battery is only on one end of the locomotive, so in case you're looking in the other cab, well, normally you would have the object markers turned on, so it is not so hard to find your stuff, but I always play without the object markers on, so it is a bit more challenging to find your way about, and we will go through this setup process very slowly, because I always like it if we have to set up our locomotive from scratch, so to say, from cold. It is not really a challenge because the scenario is guiding you through most of the steps. If you compare that with other games like SimRail, for example, if you have to power up a locomotive from cold, like the Bück, then you actually need to know what to do, right? And here the scenario is guiding you. But well, on the other hand, you don't get lost somewhere in the script and don't know what to do. Where is the battery switch? Battery switch is here. Batterie is battery. Aus is off. Ein is on. And Schleppfahrt is for towing your locomotive. So if you're dead in tow, we will need this later, we have to put it to Schleppfahrt. That enables the locomotive to operate, but the locomotive knows that it is not doing anything actively. It is only there to be towed and can provide the basic amenities for the rest of the train. On. You can see, whoop, our battery is pristine, gives us 110 volts. Now we need to set the signal lights. Those are here. We set it to headlights. There is taillights, 0 and taillights. Disable NBUIP, that is here. NBU is the Notbremsüberbrückung. That is that device that allows you to override a passenger emergency brake application, so that you don't end up standing in a tunnel and or on a bridge, and with those yellow bands on top and below. There is another scenario for the emergency brake thingy, but this is the system that allows you to override the passenger emergency brake application. Change brake mode to PN. EL and PN. If you wonder what is the difference between EL and PN, EL is we are giving our signals electrically to the brake distributors on the cars and vehicles in the train, and if we switch it to PN for pneumatic, then we are actually doing this the old-fashioned way with our continuous brake pipe, and lowering the brake pipe actually transforms our brake application through the train. We have to check both. We will see that if we do the when we do the brake test. I have to check both systems and so on. So CD Radar, hey, yeah, SimRail cold start is like there you have that train, set it up without any instruction, and by the way, you are 5 minutes delayed already. Yes, I love it. But I know that it can scare off people, and Ralph says we can meet on the way, then I'll show you the way to the boss. I will hit you on discard as soon as I'm on UK soil. And you'd use PN if the HSM or electric brake computer failed. Yes, so the PN, the pneumatic thing, is more or less the fail-safe thing that you drop to if the electric system doesn't work anymore properly. You have things like this, for example, also on the baby bullet locomotive, the MP36, where you can switch off the electro-pneumatic braking and so on. Expect the pub crawl in Chatham sounds nice. Yeah, come on, join. Thank you. Have fun, guys, he says. So, we switched off the pneumatic. Don't worry that we will be super late when starting, because we will actually skip that part of running with 140 through the Schnellfahrstrecke. Sit in the driver's seat. Here we are. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Insert the reverser key. That is over here. Move reverser to M. M for neutral. What is always funny. Move the master instrument light switch to on. That is here on the desk. So here you just switch what you want to see, and here you switch on and off. Unlock the brake valve and release the train brake. What? Release the brake? Are we not standing without brakes? Nah, because we are still having our handbrake on, our Federspeicher bremse. That will keep us in place regardless of what we're doing with our brake pressure here. Reduce C pressure below 0.5. Okay, if you're wondering what the C pressure is the pressure that happens in the brake cylinders. I don't drink either, but I like bars still. I used to work as a barkeeper a couple of years ago, so I like bars, but I hardly drink any beer anymore. And so C pressure, I wanted to tell you what C pressure is. You can find it here, C1 and C2. C pressure is the cylinder for the brake cylinder, so the pressure in your brake cylinders. You have two of them, or actually, yeah, two of them, one on each bogie, and they can have different pressures. You typically only see the red one because the yellow one is hidden underneath the red hand, and it dropped to 0 because we released the brakes. Typically they are about at 4 and something if you apply them completely, and for the brake test they had to drop below 0.5 bars. Ensure the parking brake apply switch is lit. Should have done this before we released the brake, I should say, but nevertheless we make sure yes it is. Sifa cut-off valve is open. That is in the engine room now. The nice thing about this, we have an engine room and we have a pneumatic rack here on the engine room, like with a lot of valves, towing valve, bypass valve, cut-off valve for the bogies, and so on. And if you're unsure where your Sifa cut-off valve is, you actually have a plan to find your way around, what is super nice, and you can actually find all the stuff captioned in German, obviously, but well, how hard can it be to learn some German just for being able to play this DLC and an expert loco? It's an expert loco after all. So this is translated schematic of these valves in the final manual, says Raf. That is great. So in case you don't want to learn German to be able to play those scenarios, then you can refer to the second version of the manual. I love this here, actually, the rack and the explanations. And here you can find that yellow thingy is for the Sifa. Sifa Absperrhahn on German is the Sifa cut-off valve here. It is closed at the moment and now it is open. Blop, 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 blop. Move the master and instruments light switch to on. That is probably on the other end now because we did it on our end already. So that is that one. Here we switch it on first. We should also disable the Notbremsüberbrückung here. You can see here's no battery on this end. And we don't need to set the signal lights because they are already at tail lights, and this is what we want to have for our light engine run. Here, by the way, are all the LSS and MSS Schutzschalter that can be flipped if some of those errors and faults are happening, and then you have to either put them in or put them out and put them in again. And these MSS thingies here, they work differently. You have to start and stop it. So maybe we get a nice fault on the way. No, it's a scenario, it's scripted. We won't get a fault of that kind, but we will soon be playing timetable runs with the Expert 101, what I think is the most valuable part of the Expert 101, because here it is actually totally random what can happen, and there are a lot of faults that can happen, and I'm looking totally forward to dealing with this. This is my seat. Move reverser to V. Check for any special notes left by the maintenance crew in the MTD. Alright. This is the point where you might want to turn on the scenario markers again if you don't know how to do it. MTD is this thing, the display. And for the special notes you would punch the info button, the I here. Alright, did they leave us any messages? Ihr Werkteam aus Dessau wünscht eine gute Fahrt. So your maintenance team from Dessau wishes you a nice journey. Well, good thing we checked. But nice enough. Check for any existing fault messages inhibiting the V1. Alright. Störung, ST, fault messages. Alright, what is the fault that they tell us here? It is the HBL Druckhauptbehälterleitung. That is our reservoir pipe is smaller than 7 bars. You can see this is true. The right hand is the reservoir pressure. That should be around 10 bars or something in that league. Is at 6 point whatever, so lower than 7 bars. We cannot run it. We actually need the compressor to make more pressurized air. It is nice that they have some. If you remember the book, for example, or the Power 194, we don't need to pump so that we have enough pressurized air to get our pantograph up. We don't need an auxiliary a reservoir filled with an auxiliary compressor. We just have enough air here to get the pantograph up. Yeah, set the pantograph to raise. Yeah, this little farting noise was the pantograph going up. Wait for contact with the overhead wires. Hold the MCB switch in the closed position for 1 second. Yeah, hello, there's the other train passing by. Main circuit breaker. And complete. Wait until the main reservoir is filled to 10 bars. So now we should see that the red needle is climbing slowly, because now the compressor, you can hear him, is kicking in. And it is now providing more pressurized air. So we don't need to turn it on. And something to do while we are waiting. While waiting for pressure to build, you can already register GSM-R train data if you know how. If not, you will be guided. Well, we will find this, and here in the picture you can see a train number. If you forgot from the opening statement, 999 A3 was. And before I read CD radars, here the fault vanished. How do we punch in? Zugdaten on the GSM-R ZD. What is not the same term of train data that we use on the train data input? It is actually a different set of data, especially our train number, and here we can just punch it in, 999A3. I think it was E for enter, and then we already have our well, this is obviously our number for us as a driver, and we are registering as DB Fernverkehr because we are running IC trains. If we are running regional trains, then we would be DB Regio, but we are not running regional trains with this number. Anmelden. Register. And now the train data is getting registered. It was successful, and now this thing stopped flashing, and we have 99983. Theodoros, hello Tiger and all, he says, so nice to see you on the stream. I hope you are doing well and it is not late, or it's not too late for you yet. And see the radar. Fun fact about air pressure: the subway trains are connected to a central air source overnight in the depot, so they don't run out of air overnight and are ready to go in the morning. Now that is clever. So they don't get some trains get connected to the electricity grid so that they don't get too cold overnight, and they have external electricity. But I've never heard this, that they can also get external pressurized air. So now we need to do the brake test. Our main reservoir has now enough pressurized air. We can go back. We don't have any faults anymore. Splendid. So reach 4.2 brake pipe pressure under PN. BP is the brake pipe, so that will be the yellow hand here. The HL for Hauptluftleitung, as opposed to HB for Hauptbehälterleitung. And under PN, we just switched it to PN, what is, as Raf said very correctly, the fallback installation. We are now transmitting our signals, if we actually had a train, via the brake pipe pneumatically. And Theodore says, Tiger, sorry for the subscription, my bank changed the system and currently the online payment services are okay. We just keep the pantographs up during the night, says Belodus. Oh, that is also a good thing. Just keep it up and then leave the station with both pantographs raised, as we have learned some time, to distribute the current that is going through the low voltage system in the Netherlands. Yeah, reach 4.2 brake pipe pressure. Our brake pipe is already filled, so the brakes are released. The brake pipe pressure is at 5 bars, where it is usually supposed to be if the brakes are released. So we apply the brakes. Actually, we don't need that hand for the e-brakes. It is just enough with the train brake, but it is connected, so it can just come with it. So dropped below 4.2, that worked. We release it without Füllstoß, and it goes back to 5. Perfect. So our fallback eumatic system works. Let's see if the faster and more convenient but more sophisticated and more error prone electric system works. So now we are just giving an electric signal to our brake computer with this hand. We are not actually operating brake pipe pressure with it, and the brake computer sends electric signals to the distributors in the train, if we have one, and on our brake distributors here on the locomotive, obviously, as well. So same thing again, it should drop from 5 to 4 point something. If we apply it, 4 should be enough. Yes, you can see at the same time how the C pressure, the pressure in the brake cylinders, is rising, and you can actually see the yellow hand here, because for whatever reason the C1 cylinder gets a bit more pressure. Now we release it, and it worked under electric as well. Beautiful. Apply the direct brake. That will be this one. This is release, this is apply. This is the loco brake, the independent brake, the one where we can just funnel pressurized air into the brake cylinders, circumventing the brake pipe and whatever system controls the train brake. Only on the locomotive. This is the direct brake here. Release the direct brake, and you can see how the brake pipe pressure goes out of the cylinders again and drops to 0. So all the air brakes are now released. Now we trigger our PZB LZB self-test. One thing about, if you want to run the PZB LZB self-test, always make sure that the brake key is unlocked, otherwise it will get stuck. It cannot perform everything that it's supposed to do, from what I've seen. You punch the Prüftaste, that is the test key, and then it will light up all the indicators. Can we have the blinds closed? Does not help. Comes from the side. We have a blind on the side. No, we don't. So we can't really see it properly. But we will see it a bit. And we will hear it. Inflating it again. So it actually also does an emergency brake on the pneumatic system. This is why you have to unlock the brake system, otherwise it cannot do it, apparently. Wait for the safe test to conclude. Now this is the stuff for the LZB, the Schnarre, our loved Schnarre. Spectre says the audio warnings are not for very sensitive people. Well, they should actually wake you up if you are a bit napping. Störung, Störung, Zwangsbremsung, Gefahr, Mayday, Mayday, yes. Ejection seat will be ignited in 3, 2, 1. Parking brake release. Now we are supposed to release the parking brake, and of course before we release the parking brake we have to take over with a different brake system, otherwise our locomotive can roll away if we are not on even ground, and we won't risk this. This is why we apply the direct brake on the locomotive, and now the direct brake will hold us in place. We can release the parking brake, the Federspeicher bremse, what is a spring-loaded brake that gets released with pressurized air. So if the air is out of the system, then the spring will press the brake shoes against the brake discs and will stop the train. And if we blow pressurized air into this system, then it will release this spring and move the brake shoes away, so that we are no longer stopped by this brake system. We do it by Federspeicher lösen, spring-loaded brake release. Enter the train data for the light loco run. Alright. It is the LZB80 system, so the MFA system. Well, that we're working with this all the time already, and we can see that at the moment the system is using the so-called basic data. You can check out last week's video about the train data and the train data input. If you don't know this yet. So if we don't have any better data, the train will use those basic data, and they are flashing at the moment. For the light loco run, how would we know what data to use for the light loco run? Well, good thing we have a table here that tells us Triebfahrzeugfahrt, that is light loco run, and it gives us what we have to put in for BRA, BRH, ZL and VMZ. Normally 9, 130, 20, 200. Always skip the 0. Alright, we will try. 9. Check. 13. Check. 20. Check. 200. Check. And then we press ZD for train data, Zugdaten. It accepts it, but our scenario does not want it, is not happy. Why? Did we make a mistake? 9, 130, 20, 200, 9, 130, 20, 200. No, we're all set. We did what we do. What is in? Yep, there is one actually. And yeah, you remember in the beginning of the scenario, they told you that we will be limited to 140. The thing is, I am not entirely sure if you would punch it in like this. Now the scenario is happy, by the way. The VMZ is a value that is only used for the LZB. We are turning off the LZB, so I don't know if it actually makes any difference whatever value we put in here. As soon as we are allowed to run on LZB, we can run 200. As long as we can't run on LZB, we are limited to 140, but then we don't need the VMZ value. So this is a little bit beyond me, what we actually would do there in real life, Theodorus. Is this expert version more comprehensive than the same loco other train in 2C3? I can't compare this to 2C3 because I never played enough 2C3 to say that. And Raf says, according to our 101 driver def, this is how it should be done. Okay, I totally give it to you. It does not convince me on a logic basis, but I can understand that you would do it the safe way and punch in the more defensive data. It is more comprehensive because 2C does not do fault. Ah, yeah, that is probably so. Besides LZB Übertragungsfehler, probably. Alright. As a light loco, you must not use LZB. Disable LZB. How do we do that? We punch this orange button here. This is the LZB Störschalter. Fault isolation. So we switch it off. And now our locomotive is whining that we have a fault. So what fault did we get by doing this? Well, it says LZB is switched off with the fault switch off switch. Okay. Well, this is what we did on purpose. LZB with Störschalter einschalten. Regeln des jeweiligen EVO. So switch it on with that switch. Apply the rules of your train operating company and then go on. Well, we just apply the rules and don't turn it on. So we will have to live with this fault. Bombardierkorps, Störung, 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 yeah. Yeah, it is impressive. The locomotive is impressive. I have to say that ever again, as miffed as I am that the gameplay pack was not released on the Epic Game Store, the Baureihe 101 locomotive is a splendid piece of work, and I'm so happy that we have it in the game. All the more, we should have the full content also on the Epic Game Store, and the problem with this DLC not releasing is that we don't have the timetable for my beloved timetable runs, where you don't get led on your hand through the scenario and with everything that you have to do. That we don't have this either, obviously, for the Schnellfahrstrecke Kassel-Würzburg. So, Raf, if you have any influence on Lucas and the other guys, please kick their butts that they release it on the Epic Game Store. This is lofty. I made it, he says. So nice to have you on the stream. Yeah. What was I about to say? Ask to get the signal set for you, or we are already going. Well, I always like to use the AFB. I'm not sure if there is anything prohibiting us using the AFB if we are running as a light loco. To take this with a grain of salt, I want to use the AFB anyway. So, AFB is on, and we will see how we fare with this. The direct brake is still applied. We will need to ask the signaler for signals. We have actually 3 ways to talk to the signaler now. The classic one with his phone, like on any other loco as well, and then we have call secondary controller, what is the contact signaler in most of the scenarios. Then we have that one will be the primary controller, probably the superior guy to this guy on the 2. And Raf says, I think Lucas might have said he wants to put it on the Epic Games, but don't quote me on that, I'm not sure, but I reckon it should be discussed. Yeah, it should be on the Epic Game Store. If I have to switch to Steam to have a complete collection because of this, I'll have to buy 70 DLCs, and that will put a large dent in my budget. So if Lucas wants to do it, then you have to kick whoever does not want to do it. Alright, so which signaler would we call? Let's see who responds to us. Usually it's this one here.
Würzburg.
Morning, here drive of the tow truck on track 455. I'm ready to shunt and then depart as train 99983.
One shunt and depart as 99983.
Correct.
I'll set you up then to 027 India. You can change direction in front of 027 India and then depart behind IC 1086.
Gotcha, thanks.
No problem, see ya.
Bye.
So that is the scripted voiceover that they get. He actually ended the call himself. Sometimes you have to make sure that you end your call again if you call your signaler, otherwise it will be open all the time. Yeah, Inspector is very smooth and chilled Fahrdienstleiter. I will hold back on my comments for this voiceover. When I came into this game, the first scenario that I played was on Sandpatch Grade. It started with a moving camera, and then you hear the CSX guys talking on the radio. Yeah, rookie, you're here to do your first job. German thinking others use English. Well, suffice to say, I like the voiceover in Sandpatch Grade better. Belarus, this safety communication is not according to the rules, but it is like real life. Actually, we're getting new rules for the communication when transferring written orders in December 2025, so soonish, with a new order form and stuff, so there will be a new video about this. This scenario is still using the actual current old order forms, and this new directive also gives you a lot of directives about how to use your language on the radio, because this is obviously something that always gets people into trouble if they use slang words or if they are just not speaking properly, and so sometimes there is a misunderstanding, and this does not work out well. So now we are getting sent to a signal over there. This one cleared to SH1 and RAF. This should be based off of 2018 though. Yeah, I think, don't quote me on that, the communication in English is slightly altered to be more understandable, particularly for British English speakers. And Belarus, are those new rules European? They are according to the TSI that applies to that. Yeep. What did I do, Raf, to make you yeep? Well, yeah. That's my heap. Okay. Raf, already some things like use the NATO alphabet and some English words are to be used, I heard in communications. Yes, and the best thing, I will show you that on the video, definitely. They actually put in a column into this NATO alphabet how to pronounce the NATO alphabet words like Yankee, Zulu, Golf, Hotel, and so on. For a German speaker, that would read out this column so that it sounds like those words would be pronounced in English. That is hilarious. Yankee, Juliet, and something. This is amazing. And let's not forget, Mayday is finally getting added. Okay, we will get to this, but I had to do a safety communications exam. It was very difficult. Yes, I can imagine. I never had to do safety communications. Well, when I was with the army, but, well, at the time, it was not the hardest thing to get through. Any rate, we are shunting. Right, we are shunting. So at the moment we are not yet a train, we are shunting. That means we are limited to 25. Whatever is giving us. Yes, it is actually limiting us to 25 because we are shunting. And RAF, the Dutch are already using that, plus the European directive for written orders. Yes. And I think the European Directive for Written Orders is actually the TSI that I was talking about, and this is what the German directives are now made to agree. Spec the old German phonetic alphabet was weird. Xantike Öponom Ärger, yes. 40 minutes in and not move an inch, yes, the European instructions, says Bellodus. Yes, because this is actually the best part, setting up the locomotive. Now we are running. The thing is, we still have our brake applied, nobody tells us to release it. Well, so if we start with the AFP, I don't know if we are allowed to shunt with AFP, probably not. But we can ever try it. So the train brake is released. If we release this, we don't have any brakes anymore. We have, because the AFP is on, so the AFP holding brake will hold us into place. Theodore Simra will be like finally a worthy competition. Actually, I don't think that this is a coincidence that we are getting in this scenario a lot of things that we already had in SimRail, like written orders, but now we actually see the orders, unlike in SimRail, where we see the timetable, not the order form as such. What was the other thing I was thinking about? The brake tests. Guy on the train, the guard, will talk to you and will guide you through the brake tests, stuff like this. But guided brake tests, we had something like this in Transom already. Yeah, but that is the way in the correct direction, I think. Away from force opening doors, force closing doors, away from reversing your train with nobody at the end of the train, all over the place and stuff, getting a bit more real. So, I can release the direct brake because the AFB holding brake is holding us in place. If I am actually allowed to shunt with the AFB, I put it to 25, and then if we start the locomotive with the AFB on, always remember I want to have it on max. Is there a Discord server yet? For what exactly? Balladus. For the safety communications TSI, for my channel, for the Baureihe 101, for RAF's latest version. Tigers had a Discord. Yes, there is a Discord for my channel. But it is, to be fair, not used a lot, so I overbraked because I was not paying attention. Actually, I have to switch off the AFP because that little jump I won't do with full throttle. RFB. So now we don't have any brakes anymore, so I have to make sure that the loco is not rolling backwards. I will send you an invite, or maybe a CD Radar can send you one on the chat. Obviously, no problem. So, here we are. Make a full train brake application, because we are now changing ends. Good thing we turned off the AFB, so we don't need to do it. Thank you, Syria. And we always get our handy loyal companion Hank. Yes. Full train brake application. If we are turning off the brakes, typically full application. Not an emergency application. We are not draining the brake pipe. We are lowering it to a full service brake application, and then turn off the key, and then it should not sometimes the script points that are connected with I maybe only went to 7, not to full. But it still doesn't want it. Make a full train brake application and lock the driver's brake valve. I did. It is locked. It is full. Again. I have a feeling sometimes there is like 001 left if you don't do it fast enough, and then the script does not stick to it. Now I got it. Return the train brake to the running position. Now that we locked it and we move this handle, it should not change it a lot. See, the brake pipe pressure stays. Move the reverser to off and remove it. Not neutral, but off and remove it. AFB is already off, wipers are off, windows are closed. Maybe we should close the blinds now. Set the cap 1 signal lights to tail lights, that is here, because that is the tail now. We have tail lights on both ends now. Set the cap 2 signal lights to headlights. That would obviously be on the other end now. Here. Sit down in cap 2. Hello cap 2. Insert the reverser key and put it to forward. Wait for the automatic panto changeover to complete. So now that we activated the other cap by putting the reverser, the loco is supposed to change the pantograph automatically. It already got both up. And now the front one lowered. Unlock the brake valve and release the train brake. That will put us in a position where we don't have any brakes on. We already got our all clear for this. We are probably shunting again until we get to the first proper signal. Now they give us a 100 already. We still have to transform from a shunting to a train service, maybe by stopping here. Now we are a train service and can run at timetable speed. Even though we have not passed the signal yet. Unlock the brake valve on this end. And go, 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 go. AFB holding brake is what is holding us in place. So we need some speed. The thing is, do we start with 100 now? Now we start here. Well, if we are actually starting as a train, then our speed is 100. AFB holding brake, that rings a bell somehow. AFB holding brake is a great thing. I really like it. Game would allow us to start with 100. If we are starting as a train here, line speed is 100. There's actually no reason to be slower. We still have the Störung with the LZB turned off. This will not go away. So we will have to live this is. So. And what gave us the Zwangsbremsung here now? Obviously, we can't just run away with 100. Because the PZB startup program will limit us to 40. You disabled AFB. No, I just wanted to show you, just because the game is giving you a 100, you cannot just race away. Yeah, we're going here through this bit with the 100. I don't know why it shows it here. It is limiting us to 30. And the AFB starting program is there anyway. So, not to get overconfident. It still gives us that some brake is not releasing properly. Maybe actually we did not move the direct brake on the other hand, and PZB saved the day. 101 disgrace. Yeah, you shouldn't do this like that. No, this is in apply. You can't leave it like this, because this is stopping your train like this. You have to release it. The loco will be held in place by the train brake that is locked in while you're swapping cabs. And you have to put the direct brake into release when you leave your cab, otherwise you will have this error message here. So great thing, implemented. A lot of things that can be shown here. Okay. I released from our Zwangsbremsung. Maybe we contact the signaler again and say, yeah, we were just fooling around for the viewers.
Ja, Kollege, Fahrt ist dir bereits gestellt. Gute Reise noch.
Alright, this is the guy that tells you that you got your path. This is not scenario specific, not scripted. This is what you always get when you use this signaler and you have a path. And here you have to end the connection again. Now they speak German. Release or neutral, I reckon. Yeah, neutral might work as well, but release I think is what you would do. When changing cabs, you use the train brake to apply, lock in, and then move it back to running, and the direct brake would be maybe in hold, it is okay, in neutral, at least not in apply, otherwise you will get an error message here. Theodorus, I found it funny that sometimes expert people made the most beginner mistakes. Yeah, that happens. That happens a lot, right? And so be careful not to run away just because the game is telling you 100. So what do we do instead? If you want to use our AFB, what we want did I turn it off again? It is not on in the first place. You can see if it is on or not, if this little marker here is actually reacting to your moving the handle. Unlike on the Vectron, you don't need to confirm the speed that is selected. It will just move there. So 30 should be okay from what we read on the timetable here. 60 is actually okay already. Well, good. But since we are starting, we will getting a starting program. So I made it as a rule, never to start your locomotive with the AFB setting to more than 40 until I know that I am out of the starting program, and then put the AFB to a higher value, so you will not run into what we just got here. At this point, train brakes are released. You can see that we are overcharging when pressing it into the Fehlstoß, into the, what is it called, fast release setting. We release our direct brake. Now both ends are released with the direct brake. The AFB holding brake is holding us in place. And now we can start properly. We have to put it into max, because otherwise the AFB holding brake will not be released properly. Let's check for the Störung. It's just the LCB turned off Störung. And we have set it to 40. Now we should be safe. And then we can put it to our max. And you can see it is applying power. At the same time the cylinders are drained. And the locomotive is picking up power. Picking up speed. The Störtaste here is flashing all the time because we turned off LZB. I think 85 indicators indicating us that we are running PCBO. So all good. And the ZS aus is for the Zugsammelschiene. The train line is off. We could turn it on here, but it does not make any sense because we don't have any cars. Zugdeckungssignal switched off with Kennlicht, and now we're on our way. Here we're getting an HP2 together with a ZS3 with a 60, so we can go 60 beyond the signals. Did that IC wait for us? It probably did. CD radar vector with AFB on can handle the starting program by itself. Yes, it did, says Rafa. Everything is waiting for us. So the AFB is actually working really nicely on this locomotive. Sometimes on LZB it overshoots by one click if you are going downhill. See the radar, but we get the line unstuck, so we are important. Yes, Alright, typically here we would go into PZB, another IC coming from the other direction. So, scenario might be a little less crowded than it is in real life because I'm missing some DLCs here on my Steam installation. Realistic scenario for TV timetable, says Theodoros. Alright, unstucking the line is always important. So now we should be able to actually accelerate because we are probably out of the Weichenbereich and we would be able to accelerate. And now we go 85 kilometers until we pass Fulda and then even a bit on. And that takes a while with 140. So this is why I took the liberty to create a save game, and I will try playing the game from then. Change to Federspeicher. Juniper, nice to see you on the chat. Yeah, but so far this actually gives you something to do, even if it leads you through the process. It is much better in my opinion than to just set the reverser to forward, release the brakes, and then you go. So kudos to that. So here we are, 7 kilometers to run. We will see if the save game actually did break anything. I always like to switch this display here to this screen where you can see all the 4 driving motors. So you can see when they start slipping and stuff. And now we have to stop at Kirchheim soonish. Those yellow reflecting thingies on the hectometer signs tell you that this is a piece of track where you would use the passenger emergency brake override option so that the train does not get stuck in a tunnel. So I think I will play this other scenario and take this opportunity to talk a bit more about Notbremsüberbrückung in future times, as well as going back to the Übertragungsausfall in the other scenario. Today it is written orders. Coast into position at Kirchheim. Remember, we are not on LZB. So we have to react to this VR0 signal. Slow down to 60 for the 500 Hertz in case there is one. Juniper, a few weeks ago you said you were running out of content to cover, but these are great deep dives. Yes. This is why I was looking forward to this gameplay pack, because they said they will have written orders, they will have this, they will have that, and then they don't release it on the Epic Game Store. They got me foaming for a couple of days, believe me. CD radar. So there really is a rule that the locomotive itself is not allowed to use LZB. And the reasons for that, it is connected with the air brakes that you have on your train. I guess that some of the specifics in the LZB are connected with train having a couple of air brakes, but I can't tell you what actually relies on that. 500 Hertz incoming. I like how the Führerbremsventil, the brake valve, goes into 1B, and then you have to set it back to 1A. Yeah, regulation. The regulation says so, but if you're lucky, then the regulation actually has some underlying sense why it is there. So, call the signaler and... Why did they turn off the signal now? It was nice and red, and now they turned it off altogether. Oh, if it's regulation, then I don't know. Save game? No, it happened... maybe the save game broke it. That is... The first time I went through it, it was with the save game also. Well, anyway, this black signal, we have to stop at the dark signal just as well. And now we contact our signaler and ask for permission to enter the track.
Kirchheim?
Driver 99983 here. I'm in front of your exit signal and ready to tow the stranded train.
Alright, then go grab yourself a written order form.
I grab, and if you wonder where it is here on your
Ready
table.
to receive. I'm in front of signal Papa 42.
Then
Papa
for
42.
one of two.
Papa
Sperrfahrten
42.
99983.
It will be.
It's exit signal Papa 42 on track 42.
Papa 42.
Off station Kirchheim.
Fill out the header. Yes, see the radar. Maybe we were just unlucky and it blew the bulb. But then it would have blown the secondary bulb already. Because from what I've learned when I visited a signal box last year is that those red lights actually have two things that can glow in the bulb, and if one of them breaks then the other one will still be on, and in the signal box you will see the red light flashing so that the dispatcher know that the signal light is now on its last wire and can send someone to replace it. So we were extremely lucky, unlucky that both of them broke at the same time. No worry, signal, the written order just spawned on my table. We are supposed to fill out the header. You might remember our video about these order forms where we went through all of the possible things, and you know that we have it like a toolbox where we can put together what we are supposed to do by checking the correct order 1 through 14 and so on, and there is also a backside, and then we can build our instructions in a moduled way. And there will be new order forms, as we have discussed, according to European regulations, starting in December. Raf, I've seen that at a particular box in the Frankfurt area. It flashes all the time. Yeah, this is annoying. Header.
Check.
Check.
Mark order number 5. Drive from station Kirchheim towards crossover Mülheim up to kilometer 192.4. Then return.
Alright. Order 5. So we check out order 5 and we fill in from where we have
Mark
to
order
drive.
number 5.1.
So what did he tell us here? He said we are supposed to go from here. That is Bahnhof Kirchheim. This is where we just stopped because this is the exit signal. Go on the open track in Richtung Überleitstelle, UST. That is the crossover where we can go from one track to the other at Mülheim at a certain kilometer mark and then go back. And in the meantime, before going back, we should pick up the train that we are supposed to rescue. It doesn't say here in this part of the order, but this is why we are going there. And we are supposed to check the option 5.1, Hinfahrt auf Regelkreis.
You are to use the following timetable. Book 5917, page 46, column 2B. And then book 5917, page 28, column 2B again. Head of train in kilometer 192.4.
Alright, what did he say with 5.1? I didn't say it. Hinfahrt auf Regelkreis, Rückfahrt auf Gegengleis. That means we are going on the regular track, the right track, there and back on the track for the opposite direction. What is actually the identical track, but since we are going back now, it changed from being the regular track to the track for the opposite direction, and this obviously only makes sense if we coupled to the train that we are supposed to rescue in the meantime. And what is he telling us with order 14? You can see order 14 is a space where you can actually put more freely your instructions, and instead of telling us how fast we can go in specific sections of the track, he just refers us to a timetable that we have somewhere in those cupboards behind us, and he tells us on which page we find a timetable that specifies how fast we can go and what we have to do while we are going there. And we are checking this, and this is what he put in here.
2 of 2. Mark order number 2. You may pass, cross-eyed rest, exit signal Polar 42 of station Kirchheim.
Alright. What is on the chat? Why not use fax machines? We Germans love fax machines. I just heard that the Japanese love fax machines even more than we do. But it's probably not the way to do it. Here there was, oh wow, now for the train sim. This kilometer I'd say is rivet counting. Alright. Okay, so now we know that we have to go there. Nobody told us to pick up the train, but this is why we are going there and come back. And which track to use and how fast we can go in this section of track. And now he orders us to take us a second order form and to fill out order number 2, because the order number 2 is now the order that allows us to pass this red, respectively dark signal. Checkity check.
Mark order 12. You must adhere to the following speed restrictions on site between Station Kirchheim and the crossover Mühlbach from exit signal Papa 42 until block signal 310. Reason number 2.
Station Kirchheim, yeah, that was the German pronunciation of the English word. Obviously it means well, order 12. Bahnhof Kirchheim. This is station Kirchheim.
Transmission code is Foxtrot Kilo Hotel Mike 091. Please read back.
Okay, we will do that in a second. So what did he tell us here? He can order us to adhere to specific speed restrictions, and we are supposed to go on site from here, station Kirchheim, Bahnhof Kirchheim to Überleitstelle Mühlbach. That was the crossover at Mühlbach. From our ASIC, Ausfahrsignal, exit signal P42 to block signal, or is it block signal 310. Reason 2. Anyone wondered what that means? Well, if you have watched the video that we did about those order forms, on the flip side of those order forms, there is actually a box that gives you the codes for whatever reason you get a certain speed restriction, and then you can refer to it and look it up what order number 2 is actually. So if you are interested to know why we got the reason number 2 here, maybe because the track is occupied, then you can check out the video about the written order forms, and we discussed all the possible reasons there, or you can find this order form and check it out. On the flip side, there is a way to figure it out. Station, yes, that is the Czech word. Imagine coming all the way here but forgot to bring a pen. Yeah, that would be annoying actually. Or your pen running out of ink. Churchholm Station, says Spectre. Yes, Churchholm Station, Kirchheim. To Mill Creek. It is not. But you wrote it in a Czech way. Station. Raf, I think you can technically file it on a tablet. Yeah, they are trying out digital transmission for the order forms. From what I have heard, it is not standard yet, but they are using digital transmission for those orders. Anyway, what were supposed? Transmission code. Transmission code goes into this box, so that we can...
Form 1 of 2,
okay.
Sperrfahrt 99983 at exit signal Papa 42 in track 42 of the station Kirchheim.
Papa 42.
Mark order 5. Drive from the station Kirchheim towards the crossover Mülheim up to kilometer 192.4. Then return. Mark order 5.1. Order 14, you are to use the following timetable book. 5917, page 46, column 2B, and book 5917.
Must have been fun recording those voiceovers.
Column 2B. Head of training, kilometer 192.4. Form 2 of 2, mark order 2. You may pass exit signal Papa 42 of station Kirchheim. Mark order 12.
Kirchheim.
You must adhere to the following speed restrictions. On site between the station Kirchheim and the crossover Mühlbach from exit signal Papa 42 onto block signal 310. Reason number 2. Transmission code is Foxtrot Kilo Hotel Mist minus 091.
Mist, he didn't remember.
That's
Mike.
correct. Location is Kirchheim. Date is September 16th. 2018, time is now. My name is Maya with a Y.
And an AY.
And my name is Maya with an I.
With an EI. Alright. Mist is obviously not the correct transcription for the M. It is Mike. Theodoros, the wheels of German bureaucracy turn. Time is now, yeah, because they did not know when the player would arrive at this point in time, so that was actually quite clever, and it is true. And Spice Castle for Würzburg is actually great. Spectre, this is where I laughed while he was reading it out. Sign it. We have to sign it.
And the transmission occurred via radio hidden.
And this is Zugfunk
My hand hurts
ZF.
already. Hear you again later.
Yep. See you later.
And now we got an SH1 to our red light. One of the two red lights turned off, what is nice, because this is what is supposed to happen if you see the SH1 together with the red light. And now we go into the tunnel. When we are going on site, we cannot go faster than 40, but obviously that doesn't mean we can run 40, but we have to be on site still. Now we are starting with a restricted 500 Hertz. That means we're starting with a 20 limit anyway. So if we're starting with the AFP, just keep it down so that we can that we don't get a Zwangsbremsung at this point. Release our brakes. Holding brake is still kicking in. We are allowed to go with 20 at the moment. Burn, they said on Apollo 13. And don't forget, we are passing an active 2000 Hertz. Befehl 40 came on, we can release and we're good. And now we are in an active 1000 Hertz, not restricted, so PZB is not limiting us more than the on-site. Is it actually going to 40? Yes, it is going to 40. Those limits are actually correct in this scenario. That is nice. The thing is, at the moment it is not a problem. We can see. But soon we will get into the tunnel. And I'm not entirely sure how this is handled in real life. But going on site in a tunnel really sucks. Because you see shit in a tunnel. Even with the headlights on. So this limits you to almost like unsichtiges Wetter. I said, shit, now I have to mark this on the video description for YouTube. So this scenario is not for the faint of time, because you actually have to bring a lot of time to move your train all the way to this position. Being limited to 140 on a track that is usually run on with 200. And now we have to go on the side through the tunnel. It could have given us the permission to not go on site until we get to a certain point in the track, but no. By the way, did you notice on the order form that we are now neither a train nor a shunting service, but a Sperrfahrt, what according to German rules is a third category next to trains and shunting services. And you might remember when we talked about the Austrian rules, where Sperrfahrten are a special form of a train service. And this is why on our order form we had to cross out train and shunting service and only had here. Oh, we didn't do it here, we did it on the first form. Zug is train, no. Sperrfahrt, yes. Sperrfahrt, no. We are not a Kleinfahrzeug Sperrfahrt.
You've reached Sperrfahrt 99983.
Hey, traffic supervisor here. The driver from the hunk of metal in need of a tow already took a cab home.
Yeah.
Had he not, we would have stumbled past the legal working hours. You're mostly on your own, but the chief guard is still there to assist you with the brake test. He's basically got the loco tow ready for you as well.
That was slightly expected, not gonna lie. Thanks for the heads up.
Anytime, take care.
Aye, bye.
The chunk of metal that we're about to tow. Wahren Sie Funkdisziplin? They would have told us. Speaking of which, they could light up the tunnel for the on-site sake, yes. And Spectre, speaking of which, I did a scenario on the Preston to Carlisle route with a cargo line military pack. Took me 2 hours to drive up to Carlisle, and there an IC blocked my final mail also to Kingsmore depot. In scenarios you cannot remove them. Oh no. Oh, and I did the scenario to complete mastery. Ether discipline. Says Juniper. Yeah. Chat discipline. Now we are out of the tunnel, we can go a bit faster. So according to German rules we can also be a Sperrfahrt, a Kleinfahrzeugsperrfahrt. Schiebetriebfahrzeug, that will be a helper locomotive that pushes the train. So always great to not look out of the window when you're going on site. Don't do that at home. And the other one, Rangierfahrt, will be Sperrfahrt. Türfreigabe, yes. Every time we drop below the 30, they tell us that we now can activate the Türfreigabe. Yes, Lofty, I am sure. I make sure that I open my doors. At least not VB gesperrt. VB gesperrt. Yeah. Especially on a train that does not even have a VB. Don't do that at home as if I have a personal Baureihe 101 locomotive at my house. Well, that is not only valid for going on site with a Baureihe 101. It also applies if you take your personal javelin for a ride. Or CD Radar's beloved V60. Juniper, isn't VB always gesperrt because most track is not equipped for it? We would have to ask Ronnie for it. Your V60 because you don't like the V60 locomotives. That's why I said it. The little blue ones. Or red ones. I talked to Ronnie, by the way, Ronnie, the Triebfahrzeugführer who runs ICEs, about those funny to turn your main circuit breaker on signs on the Ludwigsbahn. 2 EL2 behind each other. And he did not have a clue either what it is good for. So now we can finally accelerate, but oh no, there is the train on the track. What is this train doing there? Spectre, if the 187 in real life, the tracks 3, would be like Skyhook ones, that would be my thing. Well, actually, the Trax 3 is really missed potential with Skyhook. It's not super bad, but a lot of things where you just put your hands on your head and think, why? Yeah, I called the dispatcher and asked, well, what is this train doing here on my way? 2 meters in front of the train. We will try. Okay. Now I have to turn off my AFB again before we get so close, otherwise we won't be able to couple properly with the AFB on. Still not good enough. Here we are. Put the failed loco's battery switch in towing mode. This is what I was talking about in the beginning. But what do we do with our locomotive here at the moment? We cannot just have everything on the running, right? Full service, apply, and off at the moment, because if we leave our locomotive, we make sure that it can't be moved. Won't we do that? So I almost jumped down the bridge. That would have been a thing. Oh, is the side window controller works in this? The side window controller, it probably does. Or just disable errors. Tiger, no. No. I paid so much attention that they don't fall in the Wettersteingebirge. So what was I supposed to do? Battery into towing mode. Okay, return to the rescue loco. Then everything is good with the tow loco now. Careful. And jumping around. Always egress in a way that you go backwards and hold your handle. Return to the rescued loco. That will be that one. Push against the buffers of the failed train with around 10% of throttle. Alright, I think we can do that. Aufdrücken is what we do now. Apply the train brake. Oh, I should have not released my throttle. Move the throttle to off now. What is that motorway down there? Both directions at both lines. Oh no, we will not go into this. Open the main circuit breaker. Why do we open the main circuit breaker? Because we don't want the juice on this locomotive when we are getting this consist ready here. Lower the pantograph. And now we couple. Now we couple. Careful with going out of your locomotive. You can actually enter the cab if you're already in. Sometimes you can also climb out, but it was not to be selected at the moment. The shunting controller, I meant. Yes, I think this actually works here, doesn't it? I never tried. Couple to formation. We should couple from outside, because here are our couplers. We push the train or the loco against the train, make a full train brake. Yeah, it is saying its favorite word, Störung. Make a full train brake application, what I already did, and lock the brake, the driver's valve. We have already a full train. We try to do it once more so that the scenario actually accepts it. Yes, it accepted it. Return the train brake to the running position now that it is locked in. And now you can see full application. It actually lowered it below because we probably have an empty brake pipe on the train that we just coupled to. Move the reverser to off and remove it. The handle probably. Set the signal lights to off because now those things are coupled. We don't need any lights anymore. Set the cap 1 signal lights to headlights so that the sun does not destroy our plastic appliances in the locomotive. Now we are back in cap 1. Headlights. Pantograph selector to front. That will be that one. Stromabnehmer is pantograph. It is at auto at the moment. We want it at front because we are running 2 locomotives. Sit down in cab 1. And in a scenario where you have a double header, you typically have the outer pantographs up so that there is enough distance between reverser in, reverser to forward. Move the train brake into full service and then unlock. This way around. Otherwise you will end up with a train that is not braked. You can see the brake pipe actually fills now with full application to more than we had before. Raise the pantograph to get power. Wait for contact with the overhead wires, and now we are raising only this panto, not the other one, because it is in towing mode. And it is dead in tow. Hold the NCB switch to the close position for 1 second. That is here, because now we have the panto up, but we still have to close the main circuit breaker. Whoomp, you hear it closing. Apply the parking brake. Why do we apply the parking brake? What sun didn't saw it in the whole summer? Yeah, beautiful. But today it was very sunny. CD radio, can't complain. Apply the parking brake, by the way. Compressor is going. Why do we apply the parking brake? Do we want to park here? No. Obviously not. We're doing a brake test now. And for that we call the guard that is supposedly still on the other train. Driver went home, probably just jumped down the bridge and got into his Mercedes AMG Cabrio and left. Open the GSM-R dialer. What is the dialer? That one here. And here in the dialer you have more options, and with number 5 you can actually punch in a number. Brandner, driver went to the restaurant car to have a beer. What are we are supposed to call? The number is 20117410. Enter. And please.
This is the guard of 1174.
Oh.
Your tow truck is here. Would you mind doing a simplified brake test together?
Of course not. I'm already at the back in the cab car.
Almost
Just
sounds
apply
flirty.
again once you've filled the brake pipe.
Okay, release the train brake before starting the brake test. We can release it, remember, because we activated the parking brake. So the parking brake on this loco is holding the whole train now. Release the train brake before.
Apply.
It does not want.
And release, police.
It does not want 4.2 brake pipe pressure, but C
release.
pressure. Raf, did you take this down. He's talking about the wrong pressure. And releasing again.
Perfect. Then one continuity test.
Continuity test. Here you can see there is a button on the cab car. This guy can push it. And then we have to observe here that the
Have you got continuity?
pressure is already falling.
Yep, got it.
Inspector says he's enjoying the
Perfect.
brake
That
test a
means
bit too much.
Brakes checked and operational.
Okay,
Brakes checked and operational.
okay.
Then go get us out of here. Dinner's gonna be cold.
I try my best. Bye.
Alright. Now we check the brakes. And this is a bit confusing, to be honest. Enable EP. I would think... But it is enable electro-pneumatic braking here. This is that switch with the Notbremsüberbrückung. What they're talking about. Make a full service train brake application. And now we're testing the EP brake again. Even though they said they are already happy and we want to go to dinner. And now calculate the train's new train data yourself. Then press the ZD button. Good thing if you watched last week's video, right? How to calculate this now. Let's go back to the quick and dirty calculator that I prepared. You remember that? Okay. Let's see what we have. We have one locomotive. I actually got up from my chair, so I can't use the external camera. Sit. And now I'm calculating myself. We have one loco. Can see that the Federspeicher is still applied, not the other brakes. With a mass of 84 tons, and we first take the R plus E 160 with 168. So this is one locomotive here, 168. Now we actually have a second locomotive in this train. What do we use here? That is a bit confusing actually, because, well, the mass of the loco is good, it's not a problem, but this locomotive is dead in tow. We probably cannot use the e-brake because it is not active. But what are we using? On the Vectron you find actually a marking for dead in tow that gives you the same brake weight as in the P setting. So I would just, I don't know if it is the correct one here, but I would just go to be on the safe side for the P setting here and only use 84 tons together with whatever we have here. That will ruin us a bit. So what do we have here? We have an AVM ZZ. That is a first class car that has 107 and 51 tons. 107 and 51. Probably only one. 107 and 51. That is already the same. And then let's check what else do we have. Maybe we have to extend it. Then this is the... Oh, another one. Another first class carriage. We actually have two of them. And that one is... AVMZ 3. 3 and then 3 first class carriages. And then the 108 and 51 car. So those are actually 3 of them, not 20, 32, that's a bit much. Let's see if we actually have to extend it. And then we have at least one 108 and also 51. Should be blue here. Don't be. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a long train. 5 plus the cab car. So 5. 5 of this variety actually. And I hope this works out now. No, I have to make it a bit. No, wait a second. Maybe if I put in one here, and I will get it for free. Yes. Heißt cab car. And the cab car. What does the cab car show us? What am I doing? The cab car gives us the R plus MG 90 for 35 tons. $90 to 35 tons. And this ends up with 182 Bremshundert slits. Just enough. We are better than 170. We don't have to take this step back. No. It needs 196 even, because I got this wrong here. Now it is adding everything properly. And we are 196 in my calculation. Now I can get the axle out of the way and try to find here. 196. What does the table say to punch into the train data thing? 196 would be 18. Let's see if it works. 18. How long are we? Let's check it out here instead of running back and counting the cars and calculating it again. We are losing a bit with the couplings, but nevertheless 280 should be okay, since we have to round up anyway. 280. And top speed should be 200 from the cars. Let's see if this is what the game wants. The train data you have entered does not match your consist. And now you can have it calculated. No, I would prefer help. No, I can handle this myself. What does the chat say? Bonjour, mademoiselle. It is with deepest pride and greatest pleasure that we proudly present your dinner. I wonder if the situation you have to get out and walk along the train to get the data is lofty. Theodorus, how come a moderate player should even complete this counting step by step? Are the devs assume people will buy and do the scenario already know how to, and we have already watched Tiger's tutorial before, and that's how, and then they send you to they refer you to the manual, where it is explained really nicely, to be honest. So, did I make a mistake with the train length? 280 should be the length. It wants 20. Maybe they took a different value for the second loco, that is. Cab car was 30. Ah. Spectre. But this makes it even heavier, and we end up with 191 Bremshundertstel. Look. 191, and this is still 18 for the Einstellwert. So, I would have ended up with 18 Einstellwert. Game wants 20 Einstellwert. Maybe it is using a different brake Bremsgewicht for the dead loco. Maybe they know better than I know here. But the thing is, if you come across something like this and the train data is not what the game wants, it is typically either 18 or 20, because if you look at this table, you almost always end up in this corridor of 184 to 227, and you almost always have to punch in 18 or 20 in an IC consist here. Spectre says maybe they even considered the e-brake on the second logo, which would not make much sense, would it? Maybe they did this, they just doubled the value of the logo. Then you might end up with a higher value. But well, we got through without the help, and we got to a reasonable train data set. Apply the brakes. This is what we can do. Full service. Release the parking brake. Yeah, because now the train brake is holding the train. We can release the Federspeicher again. Ask to get the signals set for you. Well, I wonder what signals they are supposed to set for us, because we are returning the same way that we came. Nevertheless.
Kirchheim?
Here, Sperrfahrt 99983 in kilometer 192.4. We've coupled up to the stranded train and are ready to return to the station Kirchheim.
Then Sperrfahrt 99983 in kilometer 192.4 may depart towards Kirchheim.
Sperrfahrt 99983 in kilometer 192.4 may depart towards Kirchheim.
That's correct.
Right, I'll call you again once I'm there then.
Alright, bye.
Alright. I'm not entirely sure if it was necessary to call them before going back, because we already got the order forms. Oh, where are the order forms, by the way? We left it in the other cab. To be honest, I think it is regulation to take the order forms with you to the cab from where you're driving from, so that you actually know what to do. But they are left in the other cab, and there is no way to get them here. Alright. We won't insist on that, but I will insist on my AFB. Now that we actually have a proper train to run. And what is the limit, by the way? We can't see anything. Can we go 100 now? Ha! What does the game give us? 50. Why did it increase to 50 now when it was 40 on site? The on-site requirement is gone now, because now the obstacle on the track merged with us. But why is it 50 now? And this is regulation, because Sperrfahrten are always limited to 50. At least pulled Sperrfahrten, not pushed Sperrfahrten. Pushed Sperrfahrten are slower. If you have level crossings on the tracks, it is even slower. But as a Sperrfahrt that is pulled, like what we are doing now, the limit is 50 from the regulations. And this is nicely done here, 50. And this is what we can run. We can release the brakes, because the AFB holding brake is supposed to hold us in place, and it is actually doing that. And soon as the train has released the brakes, we burn. I hope we do. Yeah, we should put some speed in the AFB, otherwise we can burn quite long. Now it should work. So get this mama rolling now. Yeah, we are in motion away by bikers down the Panto CD radar. Yes, the Panto at the front, because we have the second locomotive. If we don't have a Panto on the second locomotive, I don't know if it is strictly necessary to use the front one. But what happened now? What happened now? I can tell you what happened now. I did not adhere to my own rule, right? You remember? Never set the AFB to more than 40 if you are not out of the starting program. Yes. So. You all learn from that, please. Even if you are Sperrfahrt, PZB will be running, so if you're starting your train, don't go beyond the 40. If you don't want to get a Zwangsbremsung. If you're actually supposed to release from a starting program here, and don't drive train while reading Twitch chat, guys. Yeah, that's also true. But if you adhere to the rule of not setting your AFB to a higher value than 40, if you are still in the start program, in the starting program, then this will not happen, even if you use external cameras and stuff. So why run this risk of setting a higher speed than 40 if you can just counter it? Now the starting program ended after the Zwangsbremsung. I'm actually not sure if it is okay to release from the start program in a situation like this. Typically you are good to release if you see a signal that allows you to go faster than 30, but you don't see a signal in this situation. And you're still allowed to go faster than 30. So that would be something for a real expert to answer, if I can release from the start program, if I'm changing my direction. By the way, why does the green light have a shine and the yellow does not? Because it is more fun to not see the yellow lights. It was under an angle, the CD radar. But doomed. Yeah, sorry for that. Do we have actually headlights on this train? Nice one, actually. You have your radio already set on the other cap if you register on one end. You don't have to register again. So, and soon we will be back at Kirchheim Station. But look, it is not under a different angle now, and it does not have a shine here. Or an aureola, or whatever you might call this. It is only on the green one, not on the yellow one. Yeah. And this is why we got the Zwangsbremsung, because the yellow light was overlooked. Because of its missing shine. Well, enough playing around with the Zwangsbremsungen for today. Now let's get it home properly. CD Radar says, okay, I wanted to defend the game, but it didn't work out again. Well, obviously you can see it. You don't need to overlook it like I played dumb to overlook it here. But it would be nice to have this aureola around it. At least the brake really works. It does. It really works properly. So, now we go back into a restricted thingy here. Because we stopped while being monitored by 1000 Hertz. That means we are limited to 40 when we start again, just like in the starting program. So when we start our ill-fated train again, we should adhere to a 40 limit. You can blame it on the broken train. Yeah, I can. Obviously, you should have called the signaler before restarting after a Zwangsbremsung. But I only reached the weird one. So I won't go faster than 40 anyway. So the 500 Hertz cannot stop us anymore. By the way, should we have turned on the Zugsammelmaschine now that we actually have a train? Nobody told us if there are actually still passengers on the train. Maybe the cars want some lights, so let's turn on the Zugsammelmaschine anyway. I hope the guard is okay, as they say in the ads. You are not yourself when you're hungry. True. Here, see how many ICs are waiting for us to perform our Zwangsbremsung stuff. So, 300 meters to roll and then we are fine. Block is clear already. So... then we can also release the guard. Probably has to walk back to the motorway to be picked up. Der Mond ist aufgegangen. Er ist nur halb zu sehen und ist doch rund und schön. Maybe stop the train before we run this signal here. Okay. Check if the consist is complete. Call the guard. Wahlwiederholung. Repeat. Number 1 is the guard.
Guard?
Driver here. Are you still sitting in the cab car?
Yep.
I haven't lost you on the way, right? You are still at the back, right?
Yep.
Perfect. That's all I wanted to know.
Alright. I'll manage myself in Fulda then. Bye!
How is he getting to Fulda? With one of those IC trains that waited for us. Okay. And now? Probably the safe game strikes again. Because the guard went and I don't have any objective anymore. And theaters, I thought the sunset on European summer would be around like 2000. Yep. Yep, this is accurate. And you see, safe game. Guard, what did you do? No one here anymore.
RFB, 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 RFB.
Contact signaler.
FDL here.
FDL here, he says. Dispatcher here. Yeah, what am I supposed to do? I run out of objectives. Maybe let's call the guard again. Maybe he's still around.
Die von Ihnen gewählte funktionale Rufnummer ist nicht registriert. The functional number you've dialed is not registered. Die von Ihnen gewählte funktionale Rufnummer ist
Well,
nicht registriert. The functional number you've dialed is not registered.
I think it is safe to say he abandoned us. He even deregistered his number that we were just talking to him. Floor it and run. If you say so. We are not in a 500 Hertz monitoring anymore. We are not in any 500 monitoring. Let's see if we get a start program, because that trick is getting old. Befehl 40 says Akura, the person you are calling has abandoned you. Well, the game will spat us out, most probably.
Zugbeeinflussung, 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 Zugbeeinflussung.
Boing. You've reached Sperrfahrt. That was the next. Where next? Default. Default, because I am on the Steam installation. Main menu. Well, so even though this is a long scenario and it is a good scenario, don't use the safe game, because it might get you into trouble at the end, I guess. At least the game ended properly. No medal. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my blundering through this scenario. It has a lot of things that can be talked about. And probably with German Funknetzabdeckung. Yeah, maybe he ran away and is now out of the Funknetzabdeckung completely, so that it's even is his number deregistered. It is really a good scenario. I'm happy that TSG made it and put it into this pack that I hope will be released on the Epic Game Store at some point in time. There are some minor niggles, and it does not really work well with the save game feature, so play it in one go. Don't get disheartened by the train data calculation. If it does not work with 18, try 20 and the other way around. And this is typically what will help you along with that. Yeah. I hope you liked it. And next week we will be in Chatham talking to the Train Sim World crew. I hope this will be fun. And I guess it will be, and learn more about what there is to come in Train Sim World 6. Thank you, CD Radar. I will enjoy my go to England. Oh, Acura 94 is gifting a 1-tier sub. Thank you very much. Who got it? Live Lush. Can't remember ever having seen them on the chat, but you got a sub from Acura 94. Keep us photo posted. I will try my best. Check out St. Pancras and Chatham Station. And yes, thanks for the stream, Tiger. See you next time, the Spectre. Thank you, says Acura. Theros, nice stream. See you, folks. Yeah, was a great time with you on the chat. Thank you so much for the support. And see you next time. Bye bye. Take care.